Let me introduce you to a couple of young Australians you wouldn't normally meet. One of them you wouldn't meet because it's a bat. And young bats like this normally ride around on their mother. This one for some reason fell off, and that's why we've got it here. It's a very interesting sort of bat. It's the insectivorous kind, eats insects rather than fruit, like the flying fox. But it's a young mastiff bat, and the mastiff bats are called that because in the adult, the cheek has a sort of jowl, looks rather like a hound. Can't see it in this creature because it's too small, but you can see a couple of other things. They're built very low and flat, rather like a sleek sports car. But in this case, it's to allow them to get into crevices, like a nesting spot underneath bark or someplace like that. For that reason, they often get into roofs, and they're found living underneath the tin. Well, mastiff bats do fly. They've got long, thin wings, but they use a sort of hunting that other bats don't. They're very good at scurrying over the ground. They're often called scurrying bats for that reason. You can see, although it's young, it's starting to do that now. Those are the four legs, front and back, and you can see it's actually trundling about. And in the adult stage, they'll do that, hunting by waterholes for insects that other bats don't find. Bats of this kind, the insect hunting bats anyway, work on a sort of radar. They can emit a squeak, and that bounces off the insect and comes back into these enormous ears. And it's so well attuned that they can actually pick up where the insect is on the darkest of nights, simply by using reflected sound. You might actually hear the squeaking as I move it around. There we are. You can see too the wing there, if I can tease that out, is actually a modified hand. Here we go. If I tease that out, you can see it's really skin strung between the fingers. Of course, when it's crawling around, it keeps that folded up, and there's this little sort of spur-like digit which it uses to pull itself along. Well, that is too young to survive on its own. It has to be cared for, and it's being cared for by feeding it milk now, a bit of protein, and eventually it'll be given insects and it'll be let go. And you can see it was only sort of vaguely haired, much like this little character here. She's a young joey. And animals in this hairless stage can't survive on their own. They have to be cared for. And both of these have fallen to the Northern Territory Conservation Commission, which, amongst other things, looks after young animals like this, feeding them until they're ready to have a go on their own.